And again, thank you for doing this, but let's just get started because I like to start from the very beginning. Do you
Mm.
remember when you first started watching pro wrestling? What your initial thoughts on it? What made you a fan?
Yeah, actually, the first time I actually saw pro wrestling, I was kind of just flipping around channels. I was a very small kid at the time, and I think the first two people that I saw in a ring together were, if I'm not mistaken, Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect on an episode of WWF television. And so after that, just seeing a little bit of them moving around, I was like, huh, what's this? What's going on here? And I didn't actually get to see it again until a few years later. I was flipping channels, and I think I would catch it here and there, but I'd always catch a couple butt whoopings from my mom because she was not a big fan of wrestling. And funny enough, and I've told the story a little bit here and there, but I'm going to add a little bit to the story. So when it came to pro wrestling, I found out that my mom wasn't a big fan of it during the Attitude Era because I guess she had saw some of the more risque stuff, and so she was like, "Yeah, my kid's not watching this."
That'll do it. That'll do it.
But I found out later from her, and she actually found this out by watching NWA television. Once I got on the show, she saw that Austin Idol was there. That's the first person she pointed out. She was like, "Oh, I know exactly who that guy is." And so I was like, "How do you know who Austin Idol is?" Because I thought she hated pro wrestling. That's how it seemed. No, she actually used to attend some of the shows over here in the Tennessee area. So she's not from here, but she was kind of raised here. Like my aunts and uncles, and obviously my mother, they were raised here. They had their teenage years here in Tennessee, mostly in Clarksville, Tennessee. So sometimes she would go to the shows in Nashville, the ones that run by Jerry Jarrett. So the Jarrett family were running them. So she's seen some of the shows there. She's even traveled to Memphis and seen some of the shows where Austin Idol was there or Jerry the King Lawler because she can point these guys out pretty easily. So, and then she even gave me a whole like 30-minute speech about Jackie Fargo and how great the Fargo strut was. And she actually went and demonstrated it for me. And I was like, this is kind of weird that you're able to tell me all this now about like, I think I was about like 2 to 3 years in this pro wrestling thing. So about like 2 years ago. She tells me all this, and I'm thinking I have the idea in my head. She absolutely hates wrestling. Then to come to find out, she's a big fan of it. Just once that attitude era hit, she kind of just cut out of it.
That's super cool though. The fact that I in some of the interviews we do talk about closet fans, which this isn't
Mm.
quite the same situation, which is a former fan, but you always have those fans who are like, oh yeah, I used to watch, but I don't like that stuff anymore. And then they'll be like, so what did the Miz do on Raw? Why did he do that? And then you're like, oh, okay, yep, yep, yep.
Oh yeah, and like with this, I kind of feel like it's one of my responsibilities now to bring her back into wrestling. But I guess because of me, so she does at least watch the show. She watches what I do, and then she's still got to keep her eye on Austin Idol because I remember the main thing she said about him when she went on her whole tirade about Austin Idol is that he's one of the guys that she hated the most. He was the most dastardly heel around. She hated that guy whenever she was growing up because, again, you still had your kayfabe, so
Hmm.
everybody was keeping that closely guarded and keep it to the chest. So she had every reason to hate Austin Idol, I guess.
And how
Uh,
fitting is it? And then we'll get to it, but how fitting is it that you've worked with him so much and people in his group in the NWA? That's great.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit serendipitous because I had no idea until around the time we were all working together when I was having the beginnings, the seeds being sown of my feud with Tyrus and obviously Austin Idol's Idolmania Sports Management in conjunction with Church's Money. Don't let me leave out Black G's there. But yeah, no, it was a little bit serendipitous. So she was just like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy right there. I can't believe he's working against my son right now. I can't believe this."